This gold-plated pin can actually make you rich, so never throw it away. Let's find out how much gold we can extract from it today. Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we'll be extracting gold from these gold-plated pins. Now remember, this isn't pure gold, it's just gold-plated, which means there's a thin layer of gold on top of another metal. So let's begin. First, we pour some water into the container and spread the pins evenly inside it. Let's add a little more water to make sure everything is covered. After adding the water, we'll pour in nitric acid. This acid will dissolve all the unwanted metals like brass, copper, or iron, and separate the gold from them. Now, as you can see, the reaction has started. It will begin to boil and all the gold will either rise to the top or settle at the bottom, while the base metals will completely dissolve. You can also light a small flame around the container to increase the temperature and make the reaction faster. As you can see, the acid is reacting now. Next, we add a small amount of HF acid. This strengthens the power of the mixture and helps the reaction complete faster. But be careful, bum. If you add too much, it can also destroy the gold itself. The reaction has clearly started, so now we'll seal the container and leave it overnight. Let's check the results in the morning. All right, it's the next morning, and let's see if our process worked. First, we remove the lid carefully, then lift the container to check the results. As you can see, all the pins are now floating in the acid. That means the unwanted metals have completely dissolved, and what's left behind is pure gold. If there had been any brass left, the pins wouldn't be floating. So the fact that they are means this is real gold. Sometimes a small portion of gold might still settle in the filter, so to be sure, we'll add another round of acid, just to double check that no brass or other metal remains. We also light the flame again beneath the container to speed up the process. Heating helps the acid work more effectively. Now we'll add just a little more HF acid again. Not too much, because we don't want to damage the gold. Honestly, I don't think there's much brass left, but let's check anyway. We want our gold to be as pure as possible. Next, we'll wash the filter thoroughly with clean water. This removes the remaining acid and allows the gold to settle in one place. And as you can see, we've got some thick, dense gold particles here. All extracted from those gold-plated pins. The process worked perfectly, and there's no brass left. To neutralize the acid completely, we'll add more water, filter it once again using a cloth, and rinse it properly. This makes sure any leftover acid or impurities are fully removed. Now, all of our gold is safely collected in the filter. Let's move on to the next step. Now comes the exciting part. We'll add mercury to the collected gold. We pour a small amount of mercury into the bowl and gently stir it around. What mercury does is truly fascinating. It absorbs all the gold particles while the dirt and unwanted materials stay behind. That's the beauty of using mercury in this process. To make it work even better, we'll also add a little washing soda powder. This helps to remove any oil or stickiness that might be on the surface and allows the gold to properly attach to the mercury. Now we keep stirring it again and again, slowly adding water each time. This helps the gold gather in one place and bond tightly with the mercury. As you can see, the reaction is almost complete. The mercury has absorbed nearly all the gold. That means we're ready for the next step. Where we'll separate the gold back from the mercury. So now we pour the mercury gold mixture into a smaller bowl to clean it. We'll rinse it 2 to 3 times with water, each rinse removing more dirt and impurities. After that, we wrap the mercury inside a piece of thick cloth and squeeze it gently. The pure liquid mercury drips down, while the part containing gold stays inside the cloth. This method works just like a natural filter. You can actually see the mercury dripping down, drop by drop, and what remains inside is our gold-rich mercury. At the end of this process, we'll get a small white ball. This is a mix of mercury and gold. Don't worry, this is not the final stage. We'll now purify it completely in the next step. So here it is, that small white ball. It's a mix of mercury and gold, but the mercury amount is higher than the gold. Now we'll crush it into smaller pieces and shift it into a small clay bowl for purification. Next, we'll use nitric acid again. This acid will dissolve and remove all the remaining mercury, leaving behind only raw, pure gold. As soon as we pour nitric acid, the reaction starts immediately. The color of the acid begins to change, and the mixture starts to boil. That means the purification process is in full swing. To speed up this process, we place a small flame underneath the bowl. The heat makes the reaction much faster. Now pay attention. As long as you see dark smoke, it means there's still mercury inside. When the smoke turns white, that's the sign that all the mercury is gone. Once the smoke becomes white, we'll add some water and wash it thoroughly. We'll repeat this washing process 2 to 3 times, pouring and draining water until every bit of acid is gone. Then we carefully dry the gold using gentle heat. When it's completely dry, we'll transfer the gold into a small clay melting bowl for the next and final step, melting the gold into a solid form. Now we take a small clay bowl and gently place all the raw gold dust inside. Before melting, we sprinkle a little borax powder over it. This helps purify and fuse the gold during heating. Next, we start heating slowly. We move the flame closer, little by little, so the gold can begin to melt evenly. As the heat increases, the raw gold starts to glow, liquefy, and form into a solid lump. If you have any questions about acids, materials, or steps, feel free to ask in the comments. We always reply. Finally, we have it, a small, shiny gold nugget, completely pure. This is 24-karat gold, extracted from those gold-plated pins. You can see how clean, bright, and beautiful it looks. Now let's cool it down a bit and take a closer look. Just look at that shine. It's pure, real gold. So what do you think? How much gold do you think we got from those pins? Comment your guess below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. That's it for today's video. See you in the next one. Till then, goodbye.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to extract real gold from e-waste. So, here are some components. They're taken from... You'll usually find these parts inside tower systems. They're the ones that help provide signals. We're going to take one apart and show you exactly where the gold is hidden. Now, you might be wondering where you can find these items. Well, you can easily get them from scrap warehouses or e-waste markets, places where old electronics and computer parts are sold for scrap. Inside these components, you'll find different types of metals: gold, silver, and other valuable materials. But in this video, we'll focus only on recovering the Most of the pieces you see here are gold-plated, and today I'll show you step by step how to extract pure gold. Once we've sorted everything, we'll place all the components into a large metal. Then we'll pour in some. And add nitric acid. Nitric acid helps separate gold from all other metals. It removes copper, brass, and other unwanted materials, but it does not dissolve gold itself. we'll leave the acid to react for some time. To manage the toxic fumes, we'll keep a small flame nearby so that the smoke rises upward safely. Always wear safety gloves and a mask during this step. After waiting, we'll add clean water to neutralize and check whether the gold has started separating. Sometimes it doesn't work on the first try, so we'll repeat the same process multiple times, adding acid, waiting, and rinsing with water. Gradually, this repetition removes all the base metals and leaves the pure gold behind. Now, as we wash the mixture, you'll notice the color of the water. That's a sign the reaction is still active. Then, we'll add another round of acid and seal the bowl again. This entire process will be repeated 5 to 6 times to make sure every last bit of gold is separated. To enhance the reaction, we'll use a stronger acid called HF acid. It's powerful and removes any leftover traces of metal. We'll keep cleaning until the water becomes clear. Once we remove the top layer of liquid, you can actually see small particles of gold settled at the bottom. We'll rinse everything again because even tiny gold dust must be collected. We'll then shift everything into a smaller container, wash it properly, and repeat the same process until the gold this point, there's still some fine gold left. To collect it, we'll use mercury, which naturally attracts gold particles. We'll pour mercury into the mesh filter containing gold and stir it gently so that it binds to all the remaining gold dust. Next, we'll add a small amount of washing powder or detergent, which removes any oil or stickiness that prevents mercury from working properly. We can also add a few drops of nitric acid to help purify the mixture. After washing the mercury 2 or 3 times, you'll notice it has become clean and shiny. That means it has captured all the gold. Now we'll separate the gold from the mercury. We'll pour the mixture into a soft, fine and carefully squeeze it. The mercury will pass through, leaving behind raw gold mixed with a bit. We'll transfer that raw gold into a small bowl and pour nitric acid on. The acid will evaporate the mercury and leave only. As the acid reacts, you'll see bubbles forming. That's the impurities burning away. Once the fumes turn white, it means the mercury is gone. We'll pour out the acid, rinse with clean water, and then let the gold dry completely. After drying, we'll move it into a small clay bowl for melting. Before heating, we sprinkle a little borax powder, suhaga, on top. This helps the gold melt faster and stay pure. Finally, the gold melts completely into a small, solid. We'll cool it down and lift it out. And there you have it, 24-karat pure gold recovered from e-waste. If you enjoyed this process, check out the link in the description for our second channel. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you. Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we're going to extract pure gold from a computer's RAM. So first, we place the RAM sticks into a container and add a bit of water. Next, we pour in nitric acid and then add HF acid to boost the reaction speed. This combination will help break down the components much faster. Now we seal the container tightly and leave it overnight to let the process work on its own. The next morning, we carefully open the lid to check the progress. And yes, the reaction has almost completed. Now, we'll remove the leftover green RAM plates, keeping only the gold residue inside. There's still more left in the RAM, so we'll check thoroughly to make sure none of it remains stuck. Once confirmed, we'll scrape off any remaining traces, and we can discard the empty RAM plates after that. We strain the mixture, rinse it several times with clean water, and filter it through a cloth. All the collected gold will now be transferred into a clean container, and we'll add some water to help separate it properly. Repeating this 2 or 3 times ensures that every tiny bit of gold stays trapped in the fabric. And look at this. You can already see how much gold has been collected. Now that all the gold is collected, we pour out the excess water and start the purification process. To do that, we'll add mercury into the container. Mercury has a unique property. It absorbs only the gold and leaves all the other impurities behind. That means every bit of real gold will stick to the mercury, while the unwanted residue will stay separated. We'll gently stir it by hand so that the gold can fully bond with the mercury. Don't worry, this is a safe type of mercury, not the highly toxic one, so touching it briefly with gloves or washed hands is fine. Once mixed, we pour the mercury through a filter cloth. Shaking it slightly to make sure all the gold sticks to it. As you can see, The mercury has now absorbed the gold completely, and all that remains in the container is waste material. Next, we add washing soda onto the filter cloth. This helps remove any sticky residue and allows the mercury and gold to combine even more cleanly. We then rinse the mercury 2 to 3 times with water to remove the leftover dirt. Finally, we wrap the mercury in the cloth and squeeze it tightly. By doing this, all the liquid mercury will pass through, and what stays behind in the cloth is solid gold mixed with trace mercury. When we unwrap it, we find a small white ball. This isn't pure gold yet because a bit of mercury is still trapped inside. So now, we'll crush it into small pieces and place it into a heat-resistant bowl for the next stage. Now we move to the final stage, removing the remaining mercury and melting the gold. We pour nitric acid into the bowl containing the crushed pieces. The acid reacts with the mercury, dissolving it completely while leaving behind only raw gold. To speed up this process, we carefully apply heat from underneath. If you notice dark smoke rising, it means there's still mercury inside. We keep heating until the smoke turns white. That's the sign that all mercury has evaporated. Once it does, we refresh the acid, heat it again for a few minutes, and you can see the liquid bubbling. This means the reaction is still active. After a while, the smoke turns clear, showing that the gold is now fully purified. We then pour out the remaining liquid and rinse the gold 2 or 3 times with clean water. After drying it properly over the flame, we transfer the gold powder into a small clay bowl. Now comes the most exciting part, melting the gold. We slowly bring the flame closer, increasing the heat bit by bit. The raw gold starts to melt and fuse together, forming a bright, shiny little gold bead at the bottom of the bowl. And there it is, pure 24-karat gold, free from any impurities, bright, clean, and real. Look at that shine! It's absolutely beautiful. We'll let it cool down for a moment, and then we'll show you the final result. This small gold bead is the reward of all our effort, completely pure and naturally extracted from computer RAM. If you enjoyed this process, make sure to watch our videos fully, because many people later ask what acid or powder we used. Everything is explained in the video, so don't skip any parts. And there you have it, our pure 24-karat gold, shining bright and ready to hold in your hand. Thanks for watching. See you all in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye.
First, we are adding water. Now it's time to add nitric acid. After 6 hours,
बंद कर, बस ये बंद कर।
मागोकली
Wanna start?
Go.